Hello, dear listener. Welcome to StoryTone English. Today, I will take you on a journey through the life and wisdom of one of the greatest thinkers in human history, Aristotle. Relax, listen carefully, and let this story improve your English and your mind at the same time. Aristotle was born in 384 BC in a small town called Stagira in northern Greece. His father was a royal doctor, working for the king of Macedonia. From a young age, Aristotle was surrounded by ideas, knowledge, and curiosity. He grew up watching his father study the human body and the wonders of nature. That early environment shaped his love for learning. When Aristotle was 17, he moved to Athens, the center of philosophy at that time. He joined Plato's Academy, one of the most famous schools in history. Plato, the great philosopher, became his teacher. For nearly 20 years, Aristotle studied under him. He learned about logic, reality, and the meaning of life. But soon, Aristotle began to ask his own questions, deeper, practical, and scientific. He respected Plato deeply, but he believed that real knowledge must come from observation. Plato focused on ideal worlds. Aristotle looked at the real one. He wanted to understand how things worked, not just what they meant. After Plato's death, Aristotle traveled to different places. He spent time studying animals, plants, stars, and human behavior. He observed everything around him and took detailed notes. His curiosity had no limits. He wanted to learn about everything, from poetry to politics, from biology to logic. During his travels, Aristotle met a powerful man named Philip of Macedonia. King Philip asked Aristotle to tutor his young son Alexander, the one who would later become Alexander the Great. For several years, Aristotle taught Alexander philosophy, ethics, science, and leadership. It was one of the most important teacher-student relationships in history. When Aristotle returned to Athens, he opened his own school, the Lyceum. He and his students walked and discussed ideas while moving through the gardens and pathways. That's why his followers were called peripatetics, which means people who walk while learning. Aristotle's teaching covered almost every topic. He wrote about logic, the science of reasoning. He studied physics, politics, biology, and art. He asked deep questions about happiness and human purpose. He believed that the goal of life is not pleasure, but virtue, living with balance and reason. One of his famous ideas was the golden mean. He said that every good behavior lies between two extremes. For example, courage is between fear and foolishness. Generosity is between greed and waste. This idea still helps people understand ethics today. Aristotle also made great contributions to science. He classified animals, studied the Earth's shape, and wrote about natural phenomena. Even though some of his scientific ideas were not correct by modern standards, his method of thinking, observing, testing, and recording became the foundation of modern science. He also studied human emotion. He wrote about tragedy, art, and literature. He believed that storytelling and drama help people release emotions in a healthy way. This idea, called catharsis, still influences art and movies today. Aristotle's influence didn't end with his death. For almost 2,000 years, his books were used in universities across Europe and the Middle East. He shaped logic, science, and education. His works inspired thinkers like Thomas Aquinas, Galileo, and Isaac Newton. Today, we remember Aristotle not just as a philosopher, but as a symbol of curiosity and balance. He reminds us that true wisdom begins with observation and never stops with one answer. So what can we learn from Aristotle in modern life? We can learn to ask questions, we can learn to think logically, to seek truth, and to live with purpose. Aristotle's lesson is timeless. Knowledge and virtue create a happy life. Take a deep breath and reflect. When was the last time you observed something closely? When did you stop and wonder why things happen the way they do? Aristotle would tell you, keep asking, keep thinking, and keep growing. Thank you for listening to this story from StoryTone English. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and stay with us for more inspiring stories that help you practice English while learning about the great minds of the world. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next story.